The Subway $3 flatbread breakfast combo is the best deal around. Get a 6-inch flatbread breakfast sandwich with a 16-ounce cup of coffee or 21-ounce fountain drink, all for just $3. It's flat out delicious. Subway, eat fresh. The B.S Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the B.S Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The B.S Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The B.S Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the B.S Report. This is part 2 of our November 29th podcast. If you missed part 1, we had Greg Wyshynski from Yahoo Sports, the Puck Daddy blog. We talked a lot of hockey. And now we're going to talk a tiny bit more hockey with our next guest and then dive into the NBA lockout. On the line right now, the number one Washington Capitals fan that I know, and actually the only Washington Capital fan I know, Joe House. What's happening?
Got to give the people what they want. Is this the Jalen Rose podcast?
No, it's not the Jalen Rose. It's the Bill Simmons podcast.
What are we talking about basketball?
No, we're going to talk about hockey first.
What? You know, basketball is back on.
I know, but you know what? I'm not going to run around with my panties in a bunch because the NBA decided to come back after 5 months.
I am
silent protest with the hockey.
I don't
podcast.
care. I'm not protesting anything. You take things a lot more personally.
I do. I'm very upset. They arrived at a point that I was telling everybody in columns that they would be in June. 50-50, 4-year contracts. This is all stuff we knew was going to happen in June, and we had to go to D-Day and call each other names and miss
I guess, but
16
still,
games.
if somebody had told you a year ago, hey, guess what? They're going to start the season on Christmas. They're going to lose 16 games. You know, BFD.
I know.
It's perfect.
Listen. I will be there when the season starts, and I'll be over my my bitterness about it. But we'll come back to this. Tell me about Ovechkin.
I know. There's lots to say. So I'm shocked, surprised, and thrilled to talk about fat Alex Ovechkin because
fat? You're saying he's fat?
Well, there was a little thing over the summer. There were a couple of pictures that showed him in unflattering lights where it looked like he might have been putting on a couple of pounds. And then he dispelled all of that through social media and other intermediaries and enforcers, and he actually showed up pretty svelte. He showed up this season a little lighter. But it's funny, I feel like, well, I don't read any hockey blogs, and I pay very little attention to the hockey media, just because out of the sort of press of all kinds of stuff that I want to consume, hockey is important, but not that important. So I've been saying to friends of mine that will listen that I really resent the passive-aggressive behavior shown by Ovechkin this year.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he has been somehow affected by – he had a person fairly close to him or his inner circle pass away unexpectedly towards the end of the summer, and he, in fact, either missed the first game or showed up just back from Russia because he went back to Russia to attend his funeral.
Oh.
And maybe he's having a metaphysical moment, you know? He's sort of questioning his place in the world, and maybe it's the first time that he confronted his own mortality. Maybe it's something deep like that.
Yeah.
But all I know is he's kind of sucked this year.
Yeah. Well, as evidenced by the fact that he's not in the top 40 for points.
So what
seems like impossible.
Who'd you have on the pod ahead of me?
I had on our favorite Puck Daddy blogger, Greg Wyshynski.
Yeah,
and
so he
was
really
saying
knows
that,
what the hell's going on with hockey. What's his theory?
Well, he just thinks he might have quit on his coach, and that
yeah,
now that
but
they
that's
have a
exactly
new
what
coach.
it looked like.
How do you quit on Bruce Boudreau, though?
That's
the king
my
of the
view.
F-bomb. How dare he?
Right, Jacqueline, be ready to hit the button because I'm about to start talking about Bruce Boudreau. That guy was great. Bruce Boudreau, all he did was give his off for those guys.
And what the happened? Why would they fire him anyway?
They
So
quit on
listen.
him. The Russians and the Euros quit on him.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll get the Ovechkin renaissance now. Yeah, I mean the Caps got to step it up. Hockey's moving on without him. The Bees are coming together. The Pens are back. Yeah, the Maple Leafs are involved. You got to step up. The playoffs might move on without you this year.
It's all fine. It's so early in the hockey season. It's really tough to get too worked up. I think the Caps did the right thing. I think the Boudreau era had run its course, and you can tell by the effort that it wasn't. McPhee, the GM here, made a great observation. He was very candid and honest, I thought, in his news conference, which is this was not a slump. I know what a slump looks like. These are guys who are not responding to the coach. And when they're not responding to the coach, then the coach has got to go.
Hey, we talked earlier in the podcast about shootouts, and we were talking about whether we like them or not. And I wanted your take because you go to a lot of games. Are you pro or con with shootouts?
I'm kind of con because my view is that the old system of ties was fine. It feels like a little bit of a over deferential to kind of the entertainment factor. I mean, I understand it. I like the idea of closure, but it's a little gimmicky. It's honestly the thing that makes me most intensely dislike soccer, which is this World Cup coming down to penalty kick shootouts. My view is just play the game. Now, for hockey, when you're in an 82-game regular season, you can't play 4 overtimes. That doesn't make any sense. But that's what they do in the playoffs, and that's why hockey is the very, very best come playoff time, because those overtimes are exquisite. And if soccer just played that, if they did that on the world stage, I think soccer could be equally awesome, but it's not.
Well, the problem is the guys get tired. And they wear down.
I don't care about any of that.
I think you get a little creative
play the game to win.
You can get a little creative with removing people from the field /ice, and that's what we were talking about maybe you go 4-on-4 first overtime period, then you go 3-on-3 the second.
Oh, that's crazy.
You do something like that. I don't know. Well, it's just the shootout.
I'm fine with it.
Ridiculous way to end.
I agree, but I mostly don't care. I mean, it feels the one thing that I think is a little kooky is that the winning team gets an extra point. I don't think it should carry quite that weight. I think both teams should get like a 1.5 for a game ending through a full overtime period in a tie, and then whoever wins the shootout should get a half point. That would feel better to me.
I'm even confused just listening to that. Like that's almost why we shouldn't have a shootout. Like now we're having decimals.
You understand the rules. Both teams get a point when they play all the way through overtime, and then whoever wins the shootout gets an extra point. That's the current.
The Bruins lost a 10-game winning streak the other day because some a-hole in the Red Wings had one nice shootout move, and that was it. That was the end of the streak. Made me mad. I didn't like it. All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk NBA.
Yeah, let's.
We're at like the 56-minute mark of this podcast. We'll finally.
You could turn. We could end it whenever you need to.
No, I'm just saying. It's I'm glad we talked. We talked a lot of hockey here, and I'm glad.
That's great. I'm going Thursday. It's going to be a great game.
It's been a really good hockey regular season. I've enjoyed it. A lot of weird stuff going on.
Welcome to hockey.
Good times. Really great like times. It. My first regular season in 18 years that I really cared about.
Sure.
All right, NBA. What single thing are you most excited for these next 3 weeks?
So I was all set to have hurt feelings because I wasn't asked to offer these thoughts in writing as part of the Grantland Grand Preview. But then I
You
read
weren't in there? I thought you were on that email.
No, I wasn't on that email.
Oh, I'm not.
You think I would pass something like that up?
I'm firing people. I can't believe you weren't on that email.
Anyway, Chris Ryan wrote what I would have wrote anyway.
Okay.
Honestly, it's reacquainting myself. I don't know who's on the teams anymore. I turned off my basketball brain. So it's like, is it really true that Nene is the head of the class free agent this offseason?
It's funny. I thought he was restricted, and apparently he's not. You can just sign.
Yeah, he's unrestricted.
That is a a major chess piece, because I thought Gasol was the guy.
Marc Gasol
was the guy that just seemed to be like the chess piece that could potentially shift something. Because he's the third best center in the league. Well, but I thought Memphis would have probably matched any offer you're going to make Gasol. Nene, if you could just get, that's pretty good. Now, here's where that 4-year, 5-year thing is pretty interesting.
Let's hear it.
Because, well, you could, if he's going to leave Denver, it's going to cost him a year in his contract, unless they can work out some sort of sign and trade. And, this will be a nice first test of whether player movement is being compromised or not by this new lockout.
Don't you think Denver, it's in Denver's interest to do the sign and trade?
Yeah, but I wish they had just gotten rid of the sign and trades.
Why?
Because I like the fact that, all right, you're going to leave. That's fine. But here's the penalty for you switching teams. Instead of getting a 5-year guaranteed contract, you get a 4-year guaranteed contract. And that's it. And now the player has to weigh that. Do I want to leave Denver? Is it worth it to give up that extra year? Now you're basically enabling the same player movement that we just had the stupid lockout about, which is fine. But then why did we have the lockout?
Well, isn't the answer, and I'm no Larry Kuhn, who I love, by the way. All his stuff on the cap is tremendous. But isn't the team that loses the player get back from the sign and trade superior to just having that salary slot available? Don't they get more by doing the sign and trade?
They get a little more.
Isn't Denver better off with both the salary room and whatever exception or additional pick? I don't know what it is anymore.
Allegedly, but the cap's going down, and I would argue that.
Why is the cap going down?
Because the BRIs went from 57% for the players to 51% this year. So the actual
cap though is going up.
Well, no. Am I understanding this wrong?
The salary cap, the league, there's more BRI for everybody. It's just the owners are getting a bigger piece of it.
Right.
And the salary cap, though, I think is up. I think it's around $70 million.
Are you sure that's not the luxury tax number?
I think it's the salary cap. I thought I read it.
I have to research this.
It's early. We got to shake the dust off. Bro.
Yeah, I know. There's so many like different things I have to figure out about what the system is. But well, regardless, if I was a team like Denver, I would rather have the advantage of that 5-year versus 4-year to keep one of my guys versus him having the sign and trade option, and then all I get out of it basically is a cap slot and 2 second-round picks.
Yeah, I get it. I understand.
Because what happens is these guys say, well, I'm going there anyway. So, to enable me to get that 5th year, you get these 2 second-round picks and a cap exception. And teams are like, oh,
the other
what
part
are
of
they
it, is you want the teams want to remain attractive as potential homes for other free agents.
Yeah.
Which is one of my most favorite things out of the Grantland preview that I saw there, the FU to MJ, that is certainly coming, right?
Well,
like in terms of free agents going to Charlotte?
Yeah, well, I think that FU is already in place.
They've already baked in?
Yeah, because it's at Charlotte. They don't spend money. Although now with the 85% thing I thought was interesting. Teams have to spend 85% of the cap.
Yeah. No, I thought that was a great kind of win for the players, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's going to lead to more dumb contracts, which is really all I cared about as
it's filler.
As somebody writes columns. Yeah, I need
There'll be a lot of players, getting kind of double what they're worth.
As a Celtics fan, I was very excited that the sign and trade rule is in effect for the next 2 years because I really feel like the only way the Celtics can really win a championship is if they can sign and trade Jeff Green and get a couple guys back for him. And
who's in the market for Jeff Green?
Oh, come on, everybody. What are you talking about?
Honestly, what's sad and scary is
you're Wizards, baby.
I know. That's what makes the most sense. The Washington
Make us an offer.
Basketball team. I'm not using that other W word anymore, by the way. I have to remind you of that. I swore myself off of it. They changed the jerseys. They changed the look back to the old Bullet style. I'm going to go ahead and take it to its logical conclusion. I'm no longer calling them the Washington, whatever that second word is that begins with W. They're the Washington Professional Basketball Team until the name gets changed again.
Talk me out of a scenario where the Celtics get Andre Blatch and Ejian Lan for Jeff Green, and then Danny Ainge tries to tell me that this is a good trade.
Well, first of all, Ejian Lan, I think, is still on a stretcher with his blown-out left knee and probably not coming back to America until his ACL surgery gets scheduled.
Did I miss this? When did he get hurt?
At the end of last week.
Oh, I missed it.
In China.
Oh, poor E.
I know. I thought it was another J.R. Smith. I thought Yi was faking it too.
Yeah.
Because he needed to get back. Well, I can't say what it is that I think he wanted to get back here for, but I think he had a reason to get back here.
Well.
Anyway.
So Andre Blatch for Jeff Green.
It feels like treading water to me. What's good about it for Washington?
You get rid of Andre Blatch.
Then who are we going to boo every game when he gets announced in the starting lineup?
You could boo JaVale McGee because he'll probably do something dumb, and then you could boo him.
I know, but it's booing him.
I know, you feel bad.
That's the will.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm grasping at straws. I know they're going to bring Jeff Green back, and I know they're going to be like, oh, he's at a full training camp now, or half a full training camp, or whatever the training camp is. But, we figured out how to fit him in, and I just don't think that he is mentally tough enough to be what they need him to be. The Celtics need a couple of rational confidence guys, and that's the only way you're going to be. You're playing with Garnett, Pierce,
what about
Ray,
Jamal
and Rondo.
Crawford for them? He's out there. I mean, you need somebody because Delonte hasn't stayed healthy for a full season.
No.
He's getting hurt.
Well, here's the real problem. And Miami is still 2-1 to win the title. The way this system shook out,
yeah,
it's almost impossible for them not to win this title. They can. I mean, I'm not even saying it as a reverse jinx. It's like they get to add.
You are, but I love it.
No, I'm not. No,
okay.
I'm not. I'm saying
I don't care. You can practice on me and save it for Levitard.
Last year, it was defensible that they didn't win the title because they really couldn't put together an 8-man nucleus. And we knew, like, if this team loses, it's going to be because LeBron and Wade played too many minutes, because LeBron shrinks from the pressure, and because they weren't deep enough. And all that stuff was borne out. We knew it was a possibility. This year, because of that rule that if you were not a tax team, you get to use your full mid-level exception. They can go out and basically get Shane Battier or David West or Jason Richardson.
Wait.
They
Did
can
you
get
say, who? Not David West.
David West, the guy in the Hornets.
Yeah, well, he was looking at a near max deal, and I know he hurt his knee, but he's still going to get.
He really hurt his knee.
Oh, is he still not back?
He's on his way rehabbing back.
Oh.
I'm throwing out names.
Okay. Anyway,
it could be Tayshaun Prince. Like, excuse me. I don't know. They're going to get a real guy with that slot, and then they're also probably going to get one or two of the veteran guys, whether it's Grant Hill, like those type of guys. They're going to have an
I don't think they're in any better shape. They have the same nucleus problem as last year, and the minutes problem isn't going to be solved by the highly compressed schedule that they're going to knock out this year in the sprint to June. Well, they look like the same kind of issues to me.
Yeah, but not if they improve like the guys, the 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. They're going to be a totally different team. That's why they lost the finals.
Though.
Why?
It's just replacing. I don't know about improving.
Let's say they get...
Because Haslam and Mike Miller were sort of credible pieces when you looked at it before the season started last year.
I'm not sold on Mike Miller ever.
Yeah, he could be cooked, but all I'm saying is you're going to swap in guys like maybe Tayshaun, maybe Shane Battier, guys of that ilk for guys like Haslam or Miller. Is that really going to make that big a difference?
Battier is your fifth guy in the court in crunch time. Are you a better team?
Absolutely, yes. unequivocally. Battier is.
So then, how does that not make a difference?
Well, I mean, that he's a little bit of a different case. I just mean going.
What do you mean
back
it's
to,
a different
like,
case?
the
He's a
core
free
issues.
agent.
Huh?
He's a free agent. They could sign him. He could fit in that mid-level exception. I mean, that they could get somebody with that exception that could be in crunch time for them. One of their 5 guys who was better than last year's 4 and 5 guys is my point. I think that will make them better.
Just to demonstrate how much I turned off my basketball brain, I can't even repeat to you who their crunch time 4 and 5 guys were.
Well,
was it Mario Chalmers and?
It was a little Mario Chalmers. It was a little Mike Miller. It was,
Was
sometimes
Mike Bibby
they
on
played.
The floor?
Sometimes they. I mean, it kind of vacillated.
I can't even remember who was on that team anymore.
Battier is really interesting though. Well,
Huh?
if they had Battier, assuming he's got enough left in the tank, but even if for 25 minutes he can come in and lock somebody down, because that was another issue with that team last year, is LeBron was their best perimeter defender, and they didn't
he's
really
still
have
going to be
that.
their best perimeter defender.
Well, but I mean, they didn't have that second guy. They'd be like, let's give LeBron a break here and throw this guy out on whoever.
I don't know.
And-
I think the whole thing is a fantastic another run at a reverse jinx. I fully support it.
How dare you?
And
I think it's their title to lose. I do. I think those 2-to-1 odds are crazy. Those odds will be even odds by January 15th.
Well, I'm not touching any of that.
Go through all the teams. Name me a team that you feel good about. You think Dallas?
No, I don't think Dallas.
Year after Dallas, old
You know who
last
I think?
year?
The Los Angeles Lakers. That's who I think.
I see. I would pick them to be a bust more than a contender.
You're allowed to. I think you could argue both sides of it. They've had an extended rest, a team of old guys.
Well,
a team
now they're going to be.
that has an established nucleus, established role players.
Good luck getting a 66-game season where you're playing back-to-back-to-backs with guys like Kobe and Bynum.
All
That's
they
not
need
going
to
to go
do
well.
is get to the playoffs. Those guys can take nights off. All they got to do is get to the playoffs.
I'm going to be coming out of my LA Live office across the street from Staples for a Starbucks at like 2 in the afternoon one day, and they're just going to be wheeling Bynum out on a gurney. There's no way his knees hold up. They have to play 66 games in 120 days.
I don't know.
No.
It's going to be glorious. I honestly think, and this is what part of the study I'm going to have to do. You know how hard it's going to be to do over-unders this year, by the way?
Oh, well, we have our big – we might fly you out to L.A. for that one, by the way.
Yeah, I'm coming. We need to do that in person, I think. But it's going to be a real frantic scramble because we won't know who's on what teams until free agency is over. And when's that going to be? Almost right up to Christmas, right?
We have Barnwell in Vegas, and he's going to follow how these futures go up and down. I still think the Miami 2-1 to win the title is a great bet. I'm saying that as a Celtics fan because they're going to get they're going to add 3 guys to last year's team, and people are going to go, oh God. That's how this is going to play out. Don't forget, Riley's probably been working these guys since July 1st, even though nobody's supposed to talk to anybody. We all know that he cheats the system. Your Wizards, though.
Huh?
Your Wizards. If
my Washington professional basketball team, yeah.
Well, they're going to amnesty Rashard Lewis, and if you wipe him off your cap, it's like you have $25 million in payroll now.
Yeah, so they'll do that next year. I think they'll just go ahead and it's kind of a perfect year for them to be bad. You could be as terrible as you want. It's a shortened season. Folks are going to be excited to come see. It's a much more limited, the schedule with playing all the conference games means that I think we're going to get to see fewer of the West Coast teams. So I think there'll be heightened interest in the West Coast teams that come through here.
Well, wait a second, though. Let's talk about this. You're committed right now to $44.7 million. That includes Rashard Lewis's $21.1 million. So you'd be at $26 million if you amnestied him. Why wouldn't the Wizards go after Nene or Marc Gasol?
I think. I mean, it's a reasonable question. I think, to me, it makes more sense for them to sit back and have the optionality of deploying those dollars on a super-duper star. Neither one of those 2 names you just said are super-duper stars.
Yeah, but what super duper star is signing with Washington ever?
You have to come up with a good angle.
Dwight Howard?
Washington is an attractive place. I would put it up. It's not quite Miami or L.A.
Name me
or New York, but it's right there in the kind of second tier. It's certainly no worse than Dallas.
Name me 3 marquee free agents they've ever signed in your history as a Bullets Wizards fan.
Marquee free agents.
Yeah. I think you're in denial.
I can't name one.
Yeah. People don't go to Washington.
That's a legacy thing, though. We have a new owner. There's a buzz here. There's an excitement. John Wall's here. Who doesn't want to play with John Wall?
If I'm running the Wizards,
to come catch John Wall alley-oops.
If I'm running the Wizards, I amnesty Richard. I go full force after Nene, and then I try to trade Andre Blatch and whatever else it takes for Jeff Green. And all of a sudden now I have a real basketball team.
I'm worried about. I don't feel like it's a good match for Nene, and I'm worried about his health. I would worry about his him being committed to this.
Well, he had the knee surgery a couple years ago. I still think, how many good centers are there now? 5?
Yeah, well, so go ahead, finish the point, and then I'm going to offer you my point of view on that.
You have 2 centers right now who are 2 of the best 5 centers in the league, and both of them are available. And all you have to do is amnesty Rashard Lewis and then go after one of them, and now you have a starting center that you can either keep or trade in a deal a year from now.
So I would say that we're in an era with this league and the way the rules have kind of evolved. Having a good center, it's a help, but it's not critical to success. I think the Bulls are a legit contender, especially in this shortened season. Who would you say is like, I know who their center is, but he's not a traditional kind of center player.
Right, but Memphis with the Zebo and Gasol combo really almost made the finals. Oklahoma City went, the Perkins and Ibaka and Collison, that certainly helped them. Dallas, Chandler was the key piece for them.
None of those guys are good, though. Ibaka is the best player out of that group you mentioned for Oklahoma City. He's not a center.
I know, but I'm saying
he would be great in Washington, by the way.
You need big bodies. You need at least one competent big body to seriously think about winning the title. And
I agree with that.
I don't know if Andre might need a change of scenery. Or it might just need a change of leagues.
I can't talk rationally about Andre Blatch.
If I'm the Celtics, I don't think I would play the Andre card. I think it's too dangerous.
You're aware. Did I forward you Lap Dance Tuesday? Are you familiar with Lap Dance Tuesday and Andre Blatch?
Make the case for Marc Gasol, yes or no. Would you spend 4 years, the most amount of money you could, whatever the max rule is for year by year, would you do it? Let's say it's $60 million for 4 years. Would you?
Who's the acquiring team? Because it's not a hard case to make for the right team, but there's lots of teams, second tier teams that I wouldn't make the case for.
The Wizards.
No. It's a complete mismatch. We'd be wasting his prime because the Wizards are not going to. You tricked me into using that W word. They're not going to be good enough to maximize what he brings to the table. It needs to be a team that's good.
The Kings of Sacramento.
That's kind of more interesting because they have some better pieces.
They're at $31 million.
That team, I would worry about kind of the fragile psyche of that team.
Be pretty interesting though to
Who is their starting 5? What would be the starting 5?
All right, so it'd be Marc Gasol, DeMarcus Cousins, a.k.a. Boogie, the immortal John Salmons.
Yeah.
Tyreek Evans.
Yep.
And last but not least, Jimmer!
Oh, that's right. And then Caspi comes off the bench?
Yeah. No, Caspi's gone. They traded him for J.J. Hickson.
Oh, when did that happen?
When everybody was asleep right before the lockout started.
J.J. Hickson, by the way, that's a tremendous addition for them.
I like that trade, yeah. That's why I would go after Gasol if I'm the Kings.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Who plays two guard for them?
What about if you were the Indiana Pacers and you already had Roy Hibbert?
I love that one. Now you're talking. Now that's a team.
For Gasol?
That's a team, by the way. that might. I feel like there's a team that was like right on the edge last year that might just come in and rip off 45 or 48 out of 66. You know what I mean? And the Pacers are one of those candidates.
The Pacers are intriguing because they're at $37 million, and they have Posey making 7.5, who I'm guessing they're going to amnesty. Now they're down to 30. And if they got Marc Gasol, now Roy Hibbert's a free agent in a year. You could either keep him or trade him, but
creates all kinds of optionality.
Yeah.
Oh, and Pacers.
And also, don't sleep on our boy in Houston.
Oh, he's in the mix. That's the perfect match.
51
Who's their
million.
starting five?
They're 51 million, and you could say maybe they amnesty Thabit. I don't think he'll use the amnesty, but they could get creative and get.
They don't need the amnesty Thabit. He's cheap.
They could potentially have Gasol, Scola, Chase Budinger, Kevin Martin, and Kyle Lowry.
And where's Aaron Brooks?
Forwards. Aaron Brooks is in Phoenix.
Huh?
Remember they traded Aaron
right.
Brooks?
I forgot. See, I told you. I turned off my basketball brain.
I know. It'll come back. The only other team, Golden State, maybe. I don't think they'll have enough cap space.
Well, Golden State is in the mix allegedly for Nene.
Right, because they can amnesty B. Adrian. So, yeah, they are in the mix. Golden State, and then, maybe Denver. Denver lets Nene go, and then they sign Marc Gasol.
Oh, I like Denver. I like Denver's style of play the best out of all the teams, although Indiana could also probably be a good fit for Gasol. But out of all the team style of play-wise that we've mentioned, Denver might be the perfect fit.
Worst case scenario is he goes to Miami for the mid-level.
Oh,
that's when I just stop watching basketball.
He can't do that. That would be like.
Don't do that, Marc Gasol.
That would be like Chris Wallace trading Pau Gasol for Kwame Brown.
Don't do that, Marc Gasol. Don't even think about taking a discount to go to Miami.
Don't do it.
Yeah, but it's gonna be interesting. The amnesty is. I thought it was interesting that you don't have to use the amnesty right away.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah, that was.
I bet a bunch of teams don't.
They got creative with a couple things in that deal, and I appreciated it as a fan who's implored them to think more creatively. I like the All-NBA MVP wrinkle. I thought was really cool.
Really smart.
I liked the fact that if you went after, like, let's say Portland amnesties Brandon Roy, any team under, I can't remember if it's the tax or the cap, but it's basically an auction. So if you and I are under the cap, we each submit our bid for Brandon Roy, and I might say I'll give him $5 million a year for 3 years, and you say I'll give him 4.5, so I win, and then that's $15 million less that Portland has to pay him.
By the way, Portland. What about Portland as a destination for Marc Gasol and
with
the trade Oden?
Well, Oden's untradeable. He can't even play. There's a story that broke a couple of days ago that he's not even close to being ready. Yeah, it's now officially like a tragedy.
That's heartbreaking.
Not a real tragedy along the lines of actual awful tragedies, but it's a sports tragedy at this point.
Yeah, sports tragedy. Sad.
They're committed to $73 million.
Oof.
Roy makes 15. Oden.
That's enough.
Yeah, that doesn't even count Oden. Yeah, they have no chance at signing anybody.
Why? I think if the cap is 70,
they're over. There's no way they're not going to be. They're paying 4 guys.
Even if they renounce Roy?
They're paying 4 guys double figures right now.
Who?
Even you remove Roy and you're at. I don't see it.
Okay. They still have Andre Miller?
Got to be honest. I'm not sure I would amnesty Roy this year. I would wait a year.
Yeah, I like that. I like the optionality.
Because then next year, you have Camby coming off at $13 million. You have Roy would be making $16 million at that point. So they'd be at $51 million next year with Brandon Roy. So if they amnestied him next year, that goes down to 35, and now they're a player for the marquee guys. Not that.
But let me put that question that you put to me. What's the last marquee free agent Portland signed?
It's usually the guys of that Marcus Camby extending him type of caliber. Portland. Here's the other thing. Portland doesn't have a GM yet.
They're not amnestying anybody.
They've had a whole lockout, and then
some. Did
some.
you send your resume, by the way?
I wouldn't work for Paul Allen. From what I've heard of that guy, that guy's a maniac.
Look, for the NBA GM job, try anything once.
Nah, I'm holding out for the right job that I'll never get. Also, by all accounts, it sounds like being an NBA GM is horrible. We have this pipe dream of what it's actually like, and it really sounds like 95% of it is just management and doing crappy things.
Seems very thankless. I agree. Very thankless.
Very rarely do you get a chance to try to shape the team. And then also, if you make one mistake, it's just it's like, kissing somebody who has herpes. You just can't. That's it. You have cold sores now for the rest of your life.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
You didn't like that analogy?
That's a little harsh.
I got to talk to you about the Clips quickly.
Yeah, the Clips, by the way, hot destination now.
They're in the Dwight Howard mix. They only have $45 million committed for this year.
You know what they're in? They're in the Chris Paul mix.
They're in a lot of mixes. Yeah, they're in a situation where I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you were looking at guys in the league who is our most likely candidate to do what Derrick Rose did last year if that happened again? Like the young guy who just makes like the phenomenal leap and becomes a top 5 MVP candidate. Blake's the guy you would pick.
MVP candidate. I hear what you're saying. So going from kind of
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying, you're looking at the landscape and you're saying what young player, or let's say I came from the future and I said I came from June 2012 and I said to you, there's going to be one player right now who is under a certain age who is going to make the leap and jump to another level. I think he would be the odds-on favorite.
I can't come up with anybody else. Part of it is because I can't name half the NBA, but
there's a chance he could end up being like a top 10 or a top 12 player this year.
Sure.
And now you have Eric Gordon, who really came on last year. You have Mo Williams, who's apparently in phenomenal shape and all fired up and came from a bad.
Okay.
Now I'm spouting the season ticket overland. Came in a contract year.
Uh-huh.
El Farouk Aminu.
I like him, by the way. Nothing wrong with
Eric Bledsoe. DeAndre
like
Jordan, they're going to re-sign. That's where they're going to
motor.
spend their money is Jordan. And then they got to trade Kaman for somebody.
Yeah.
But
what about
I like
Kaman
that
for Gasol?
You mean a sign and trade?
Yeah. Or just a trade. Don't they make
why would Memphis
fairly
do
close?
That? Why would Memphis do that?
To me, I think the type of player that Zebo has evolved into, the style of play that Memphis makes most sense for Memphis, will emphasize a skilled center, somebody who can has good hands around the basket. And I think that's one of Kaman's skills, isn't it?
Would you like my counter?
Yes.
I watched Chris Kaman and Zach Randolph play basketball while wearing the same uniforms once upon a time, about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It did not go well.
Did not go well.
Not a good match.
That's right.
Yeah,
they played
that's
together.
Right. Oh, yeah, they sure did. And I was paying to go to the games.
Why didn't it not work?
Because they are two guys who do basically the same thing. They're black hole, low post scorers who can't protect the rim. And when they're both out there, you suck defensively. So that's why.
And Marc Gasol is different in what way?
Yeah.
How's he different from Kaman?
Because he's
a
good
good passer. I have my own answer to that, but
he's a good passer. He's unselfish. He's a smarter defensive player. He's much more fun to play with. I could just say from watching Kaman, and I like him personally. I think his heart's in the right place.
Yeah.
But he's just one of those guys. He's one of those guys that the other team scores, and he's inbounding the ball, but he has like some sort of ADD moment, and he just throws it right to the other team, and they get a layup. And then everybody looks at each other when the Clippers have to call timeout. Like, that's the kind of stuff that he does regularly. Or, you have momentum, and he gets excited, and he bowls somebody over, and it's a charge.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys. There's something missing, and you can't even fully describe it unless you're watching him all the time.
Yeah, I have one of those here.
Yeah, there's a reason that guy's not on a winning basketball team.
Right. Okay.
Which is why I'd be
sold.
excited if they traded him. I do think, though, on the right team, like let's say the Wizards got him, and you just sort of like, you know what, he's our low post game. Anytime we want to do a low post thing, we're going to go Chris Kaman. I think he would be valuable, but I think his destiny is to be the low post scorer in a team that wins 35 games.
Okay.
Which gives him something in common with Jeff Green.
I don't like it.
You know, there's rumors.
Stop saying that name. He's going to be here. I know it.
There's rumors that the Celtics were floating Rondo around.
Why?
There's also rumors, and they're louder than rumors, that the Durant-Westbrook relationship is not exactly airtight right now.
Yeah, I've seen some of those indications.
Would you trade Rondo for Westbrook?
Where are you going with that?
Would you trade
Rondo for Westbrook?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even Christmas yet, and you're already, wrapping your presents. And I'm very, very proud of you for being so aggressive with it. But that's preposterous. It's ridiculous.
For Oklahoma City.
Yes. Yes, it's ridiculous.
So they need to see what they have one more year with this team. I agree.
Of course they do. Of course.
I agree with that. I'm just making conversation.
Well, it's good conversation. You've jinxed the Heat. You did your best reverse jinx on the Heat, and you're already wrapping Christmas presents for the Celtics. You're going to replace Jeff Green and Rajon Rondo with Russell Westbrook. Congratulations. It must be preseason.
I just want to say for the record, I'm not reverse jinxing Miami Heat. I'm not. If they can't win the title this year with the team that they have, with all the advantages they're going to have from this system.
We're going to go to Vegas and see Mr. Barnwell. We're going to walk up, and I'm going to make you put $1,000 on the Miami Heat if that 2-1 is such a good bet.
You know what? I might put down I'm going to put down $5,000. What do you think of that? I'm going to put down $5,000 on that. Well, when else do you get
posted on Grantland?
When else do you have a chance to get free money, basically? Vegas is saying, here's some free money. We have free money for you. We have the Miami Heat to win the title.
Levitar's going to be so mad at you.
Why do you keep saying this is a reverse jinx? They should have won the title last year. They choked in the finals. They were right there. They had a 10-point lead in the deciding game that would have basically been impossible for them to lose the title if they won that game. Game 4. And they fell apart for whatever reason. Well, maybe part of that for whatever reason is they only had 4 good players and not 8.
We'll see.
Listen, I'm not saying we should start engraving the title yet with all their names on it, but 2-1 is free money. They should be even odds to win the title. You're not backing me.
I'm looking. I can't wait to see.
You can't even come up with another team. Come up with one other team that you feel like if you had to bet your life on it that you would even consider.
I'm not ready.
Don't tell me the Lakers.
I've been tracking the Washington Deadskins. I'm not ready for basketball yet. I don't have an answer.
Because there's no other team.
Huh?
There's no other team.
It could be the Celtics.
Oh, stop
it. Could be Dallas again.
Do you know we have 6 players on our roster right now?
How's that possible? That sounds like it's not
6 guys.
That doesn't sound like it conforms with the rules. I think you have to have more than that.
We have 6 players in our roster, and I think this is something that people, nobody's talked about this yet, but this first month of the season is going to be really ugly. You're going to have guys that had just met. It's going to be like when you play pickup basketball with people you don't know. That's going to be the first month of the season. You're going to have contenders that have like 4 new guys in their 8-man rotation.
I don't know. So let's steal from one of your concepts in connection with the NFL. Who are the best teams continuity-wise to hit the ground running? Because that's the answer to who can win. So that's Oklahoma City, that's Chicago, that's Orlando.
Yep. Well,
right?
I think Orlando, the Dwight Howard thing kills them.
You don't think he'll play hard? You think it'll be a distraction?
Yeah, that's my expert opinion.
Why?
Because he's going to leave after the year, and for the entire season, all people are going to be doing is talking about where is he going to go, does he want to leave, should they trade him. You can't win when all that stuff's going on.
All right.
I'll give you the odds right now for the title. Miami is still 2-1.
They exist, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. They don't even know
Miami's-
who's on these teams.
Bulls are 6-1. Dallas 7-1. Lakers 5-1. Oklahoma City is 7-1. Oklahoma City is the most logical one on paper, but I think they have a real coach problem, and that's a team I would not go near.
Yeah, I don't know about whether or not they have a coach problem, but they have an experience problem to me. They need at least one more year, taking their lumps.
Most
In the
intriguing,
playoffs.
most intriguing bet. What do you think the Memphis Grizzlies odds are to win the title?
I'm going
win
to say
the NBA
12-1.
Try 30.
30.
30-1.
Why is that?
It's insane. They're replacing Shane Battier with Rudy Gay this year, assuming that they get Marc Gasol back. That's a team that came very close to making the conference finals, and I think would have been a bitch for Dallas. I know for a fact Dallas did not want to play Memphis in the play.
I mean,
round
they
3.
were unequivocally good enough to play in the conference finals. They just didn't win, but they were good enough to win.
Yep. And
30-1.
31 seems dumb, especially because you look at the West and it's like, all right, well, who's, unless
So when
you're
you
going to
bet
run it back with
$5,000 on
Dallas.
Miami, I'm going to bet $10 on Memphis. I like that.
I'm only betting $5,000 on Miami because I like free money. If they're handing out free money.
I don't understand why this makes me so happy and why it makes me laugh so much. I don't have a rational explanation for it, but I love it so much.
Here's how much thought I put into it. You have to declare anything over $10,000 that you win in Vegas, otherwise you don't. I'm going to bet $4,999 in Miami 2-1.
So you're going to cheat the IRS out of your gambling winnings on top of it?
Well, it's
Not
free
only
money.
it's going to be really free money.
It's free money. It's Occupy free money. That's what I'm declaring. Wait, what? There's one other.
What was Orlando's odds? You didn't tell me Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando is 20-1.
Okay.
There was one other team that I thought was mildly intriguing. Hold on.
Utah? No, they're not intriguing. Paul Millsap's available, by the way.
Listen, shoot me for saying this, and I know it's idiotic, and you're going to laugh. The Knicks at 15-1 are kind of intriguing.
I'm not laughing.
Okay. Because they're just going to trade for whoever they're going to get next summer anyway in February, and that's how this plays out. And if it's Chris Paul, then that's when they'll get him.
I look, this is laughable, what I'm about to say. Chauncey, Carmelo, and Amari, that's pretty good. Pretty good threesome for a shortened season. They'll get their rest.
Who do you think has the longest odds?
Minnesota.
This is really weird. There's only 2 teams that have odds that are 200-1.
Is Minnesota one of them?
No, they're both Eastern Conference teams.
Both Eastern Conference teams.
Yeah.
God, Toronto?
The Detroit Pistons.
Okay.
And the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, Toronto, I might have eventually got around to Detroit. The wheels came off for them, huh?
The Brian Colangelo rebuilding project is now turning into the Big Dig in Boston.
Why can't Toronto and Detroit merge?
That was the lost thing from the lockout. Is why a couple of these teams didn't merge.
Yeah, the sign and trade is your pet peeve, and my pet peeve is how good would have Toronto been?
I just was so disappointed that Charlotte didn't merge with another team and then moved to Chicago as Chicago's second NBA team. I'm still waiting to meet the one person who's against that.
Not me. I'm not against that.
Just merge Charlotte and who I think Toronto should keep their team. They actually have good fans. It's just
they have great fans. That's right.
They've been poorly run forever.
Charlotte and New Orleans could have merged. New Orleans has good fans too, and they've been supporting it. But the league owns that team.
Well, the real team that needs to move, and I hate to say it because I love the Bucks fans, but if you're just looking at pure income being brought in and ability to spend enough money, like Milwaukee it's unclear whether that city should have a professional basketball team.
I wonder why that is. You should get somebody to look into that.
Maybe revenue sharing will solve some of their problems.
Because they're good baseball wise.
Yeah.
And they support the pack.
I know. And
Anyway.
they had the Squad 66 thing I was down with.
Right.
I don't like the thought of anybody getting contracted just from the standpoint of, watching what happened to Seattle.
Yeah.
It single-handedly turned Seattle into a Major League Soccer town. I don't think anybody wants to see that happen again. And I like soccer, but come on. We need to get them an NBA team again. We need a team there, and I'm all for the second Chicago team. I just think that makes sense.
I totally support the second Chicago team. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
So, were you surprised when the news came that this lockout got solved?
I would say yes and no. I was surprised by how quickly after the lawsuit was filed that it happened. But I honestly, truly believed, because I'm a glass half full kind of guy, that they would kill themselves to make sure that the Christmas games got played. And so I thought there was I thought they might still be negotiating this week on into like a little bit of next week maybe as the very last minute drop dead moment, But I'm not that surprised that they cut a deal. I would have been more surprised if they hadn't got a deal where they could play the Christmas games, because that really would have demonstrated a dysfunction that there's no reason to play the season if they're not going to play those Christmas games.
Yeah.
But now, holy cow, what a great story that is.
At the same time, kind of interesting that the first date that matters in the NBA schedule is Christmas.
What does
that say about Halloween through Christmas then?
I couldn't agree more. What if the NBA started every season on Christmas? How great would that be?
It's not good. I mean, the NFL matters in week one.
Good? The
NFL matters in week one. Baseball matters opening day. People are like, oh, cool, it's opening day. And in the NBA, it's like, oh, cool, it's Christmas. Like, that's not good.
What do you mean? What's not good about it? Everybody's home. Look at all those eyes that get to watch your product.
No, I'm saying the Christmas thing itself is good. I'm saying if you're just looking at the NBA as a 9-month season that starts on Halloween and goes all the way through June, the fact that they felt like the date that mattered was Christmas is weird. They should have felt the date that mattered was the opening night, but
I don't
that
disagree.
didn't matter.
I think Christmas became the next most important night. That's really the season make or break night. Otherwise, you end up with a season like 90. Was it 95? 98.
I'm still hoping. I would love to see them drop it down to 72. Have some sort of mid-season tournament that replaces All-Star Weekend, and then even have the tournament at the end of the year where everybody tries to play in for the 8th seed. Like, there's things they can do to keep us engaged during this entire season, which they've just been afraid to try. And my hope is that as David starts fading out a little bit and maybe passing things over to Adam or whoever's getting the job, that some of the new blood will want to take some of those chances. Because
I love that you're on a first name basis with NBA hierarchy.
Well, you know what I found as I was listening to the reporters during the lockout, they were using the first names and it made them sound more credible. So I made a mental note to start doing that. So when you talk you talk about David and Adam and these guys need to get together and talk to each other, and I'm going to keep using first names.
Well, I how I feel. I love the mid-season tournament concept, and I absolutely love the end of the season, all the tanking teams. The anti-tank tournament is one of your all-time best.
The mid-season tournament would be really interesting because now you're saying, all right, single elimination. You have all 30 teams in there. The only thing I haven't figured out about that idea is what the stakes would be. Do you guarantee the team a playoff spot? Do they get money? Is there some sort of cup? Do they get some sort of prestigious cup, like the Red Auerbach Cup? What do they get?
Money is going to have to be an important part of it. Now, what do you have in mind for this mid-season tournament?
So you have all 30 teams. And you almost do it NCAA style. You do maybe 2 teams get a bye in round 1, the other 14 play. Or the end of 16 play.
Is it full-on 5-on-5 basketball?
16. You get 15. We have to end up with 16 teams in the second round. So you have.
I personally would love a 3-on-3 tournament.
Nah, they won't do that. They'd want to have it. They want to have it be a real team, and they'd want to create something that almost like what they have across overseas in soccer.
Well, doesn't that demean the regular season product?
No, because it would be a way to kind of reset the season, give players a break to some degree, and.
But the players the players all look forward to the All-Star break for the rest.
Well, you'd import groupies from all other cities, and they'll be fine. They'll figure out what to do. For the 4
I said
days.
rest.
Well, would you watch it?
Of course I would watch it.
There's your answer. You'd watch it. 10 days, like 8 days, something like that. 5 rounds. Winner gets whatever, and maybe all the games count for stats and in the standings and all that stuff. And you just kind of.
I think there's a lot of details to be worked out, but
there's
I
something
honestly love the idea of competitive basketball replacing the All-Star fiasco.
Yeah, and also like being able to cut down the season to 72 games, I think is pretty interesting.
Me too.
And it reduces the tanking element to some degree. If your goal is to make the middle of the year matter again, to make the end of the year matter, to get rid of tanking, and you just want to have a season that means something the entire season, but kind of like the NFL, then those are the two things I think you would do.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to play less games. And then there's got to be something mid-season to really spark both fan and kind of player team interest.
And Joe, this is something that David and Adam just need to discuss.
Oh God.
Anyway, well, yeah. I'm glad we're back.
We're back.
We're gonna have to fly you out to LA for. We got to do our over/unders pod. We got to have a mega pod.
Start studying.
We have to have a pod where Bucher and Stein come on and we yell at them.
Can't wait for that. It'll be tough to get a word in edgewise with Bucher. We have to buy him a new phone.
No, I have a solution for this.
Yeah.
Buke is we're gonna work it with Jacqueline or Joe Mead or whoever's producing. Buke's gonna get a shot clock when he's talking. And we just start it when he goes, and when it's like at a minute 20 seconds, we just cut his feed.
I don't think
and then
he's
we just
like that.
Nothing ever happened. Well,
I don't think he's gonna like that.
He's a volume talker.
He really.
He's like Eddie House. He comes in, he's just firing threes. He's just firing threes. It's tough to get a word in.
Not that there isn't a lot of nuggets in there. He just gets going.
Yeah, so we don't think there's going to be any major trades except for possibly. It feels like Monte Ellis could get traded.
I'm not prepared to say one way or the other. I think it's possible there will be many major trades.
Feels like there's something there with that Monte Ellis, Rudy Gay, like something with those two guys that could make sense. Yeah, something that could make sense because you think about how Memphis didn't really have that perimeter go-to guy in the playoffs.
It's supposed to be J.J. Mayo.
You just call him J.J. Mayo? We got to end the podcast. J.J. Mayo. That was great. Joe House, we'll check out your work on Grantland. I'm making you write a Grantland NBA blog this year for something.
Yeah, I'm in. Yeah, I'm all in. You have to make me. All you have to do is ask.
I'm going to make you. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Good times.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.